My name is Debra Jacoby, and on Friday, I'm giving a presentation about basic circuits for elementary educators.
Cool. Okay.
I've been coming to FETC for about, I think the first time I came was 10 years ago, just as a regular educator.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I love it is because there's something for everybody. I mean, I've seen sessions for PE teachers, I've seen sessions for art teachers, and as I've grown in technology, also there's been sessions that grow with me, and I never find like I come and I know everything. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is awesome. So, okay, so you're doing basic circuits?
Correct. So this is geared for the person. Background knowledge in me is just that I was more of a language arts, history, typical elementary teacher, and didn't know much about science and math teaching, and I fell into it, stumbled into it. So I really am a believer in tool use and manipulatives.
Sure.
And so what ended up happening for me is that it all ended up being self-taught. I became the computer teacher accidentally. You have an interest and people start just moving you in that direction.
That's right. Hey, you can spell computer. Guess what?
That's right. And so it went from computer room, and then what did we do? We started adding in some of this maker stuff, and then for a short time period, I ran an innovation lab at the elementary level. And what I was finding was that there's many things for computer science people who graduated with these computer science degrees.
Sure.
I would go and I'd take a class on Arduino, and if you say that to an elementary teacher, they're like, that sounds cool. What they're making looks cool. Now how the heck am I going to get there? And so my presentations really try to break it down. And we start at the very beginning. What is a circuit? Well, it's a battery, and you want to make something go. And then we move on from there. We talk about all the different manipulatives that are out there, all of the different ways you can do it, cheapy ways, expensive ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we only have 20 minutes on Friday.
Right,
This is a skill builder session. It's in the hall. And then there's like a little table next door, and hopefully I brought my conductive paint. I brought my my mini toolkit. Just got back. I went over to Skycraft Electronics, which is in Orlando. So anybody who's into all that maker and techie and want to build up their toolkit, we're in the right area. Skycraft. I don't work for them or anything like that.
But still.
It's a lot of fun. And so I hope that people are able to come, and I'm just walking the floor like everybody else.
Yeah.
Just trying to find what the newest and most fun things are out there.
Yeah.
Most innovation.
Yeah, exactly. So what are some of the things that you've done since you've been here so far this week?
So I went this morning to the CS, which is Computer Science Firehouse.
Yes, we've been talking about that all day, yes.
I ended up hanging out mostly with the Microsoft portion of it. I liked some of because I'm teaching computer science. I liked looking at all like the freebies. I'm always into, because it's good to try before you buy, right?
Yes, that's right.
So I had a good time doing that this morning, and I walked the floor a little bit because the floor just opened, and I'm really into micro Arduino, which it kind of looked like a combination of Legos, little bits, and then that more complicated stuff. So, and since that's my expertise, that's what I look at, is those bridges, taking you from the easier stages to the harder stages.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was going to say. You're doing a whole thing on circuits, and and that's new to me. I'm not familiar with that at all, so I can't wait to go check that out.
Anyone can do it.
But just from listening to you talk about it, I mean, it seems to really be not only tie into what you do, but then be those kind of next steps.
Correct. And that's the biggest thing, is that for me, there is kind of like a spectrum. There's circuitry, then goes to the coding, and then all of those engineering principles go together. And that's what we're seeing in the classroom, art and engineering and architecture class and technology, they're all merging. They're all mushing together now. And so, if you can figure out those in-between steps, it just makes you more comfortable with your students.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and you kind of touched on where I was going next. When you understand the very basics of circuits and how all of that connects, and then you get a student who says, well, that's cool. So I want to make, I don't know, a vest that lights up, or I want to make, there's a story that one of our EduTech friends tells that she had a student who was making a headband.
Right.
And
conductive thread.
And had conductive thread. And what she did was she tied it into an Arduino or something. Correct. Anyway, that was monitoring what was going on. And so when that person was having a fever, it would glow red to let everybody else know.
That is an awesome project.
The person didn't know she had
it was
leukemia.
It was chemotherapy. Yeah. You know how that you get a fever during the chemo treatments.
So the person didn't know they were having a fever, but this wasn't a visual indicator to everybody else. Oh, she's having a fever. And it's the same, having the circuits and tying it into the electronics that go with it, all to serve that purpose, but then also into, I'm going to call it this, and I'll probably be crucified, but old school, home ec type stuff. I mean, seriously, sewing.
I agree. I think it's all coming to get back together. We're going full circle. Whereas, once upon a time we were taking out all of those workshops, and we were taking out wood shops, and we were taking out our home ec classes, and I think that's what our maker rooms and our innovation labs are coming. We're just adding it in. We're doing a little bit of tech, we're doing a little bit of engineering, we're doing a little bit of art, and I think it's once you are okay with not knowing how to do everything, then you can build things. I had a similar student who did something with the scarf. They wanted to be able to measure the temperature in their scarf, and so they used that conductive thread. That's a higher level skill. How are we going to get those kids there? So that's where all those other fun tools like conductive paint and conductive tape, and there's lots of different ways to make things go.
That is awesome.
Then connect it to the computer.
That's right.
And then program the computer.
That's correct. That's exactly right. There's a whole spectrum there.
There's a company we've dealt with before called Rokenbach. I don't know if you those guys. They're a nonprofit robotics company, and they do that same thing. They're building some wonderful, robotic pieces for the early kids to get them used to programming. So we're seeing a lot of it out there, and the nonprofit stuff is wonderful. They're in it for the educational, aspect of it totally. So
and some of these higher end companies too, they're starting to understand that. Sure, there's a company that has built maybe the circuit bits that will go together, and there's another company. Well, we've got Scratch.
Right.
Scratch now has downloads that will work with some of these other components. So here you're talking about Blockly, which is not on the spectrum of computer science. That's a manageable bite for elementary students. So that's really neat to see that that's the direction that people are going, that they're taking really manageable coding and manageable pieces and putting them all together, because then the kids can really create and design some really impressive things, some cool things online. So.
Well, and then the students take those those kind of basic introductory things, and then all of a sudden their mind goes, okay, well, how would I do this, or how would I do that? And it's one of those things where it's okay, well, that's going to require this skill level, or okay, you're going to have to learn how to do this, which is a little more advanced than what you're doing. But how many of those students are like, okay, fine, that's what I have to learn, that's what I'll learn?
In order to use conductive thread, you have to know how to sew first.
Right.
You really do. And I've been in workshops even with adults, with teachers who are all ready to make their circuit, right? All we've done is make a circle, right? One light bulb, right? And then they realize, oh, wait a minute, I've never threaded a needle before. So you're right. It's like, how am I going to get there? How am I going to get there? And I think it incorporates really nicely with FETC and some of the new products that were coming out. So really a lot of fun.
That's really awesome. That's so cool.
I'm Jeff. Sorry, I wasn't here when I got here.
Debra Jacoby.
Nice to see you.
Okay.
So, what's in store for the rest of your FETC conference experience?
Oh, well, I am a big fan of checking out like the newbie companies. I like to trust my gut, and I mentioned the micro Arduino, and I don't know, I haven't seen everybody yet. It's a big floor out there, but that's my big favorite thing to do is talk to some of these little startups and see where they're going, like what they're thinking about, because then it kind of gives me ideas for when somebody throws something new, right? Because there's always something new as an educator in technology.
Yes, exactly.
Well, we'll throw one out there. We're from Arkansas, and one of the companies that we deal with is NWA 3D, which is Northwest Arkansas 3D. Two former science teachers who realized that they needed to get the word out there and provide a better low-cost 3D printer. Their biggest thing about it is great products, but the free support you get, they will Zoom in 24/7 with your students, work with them constantly to help them do that. And it's a great little project.
That's a
They're
luxury.
actually here. They came from Arkansas, and they're one of the new startups here.
I'm going to go check them out. Now that you
Yeah, we
guys
like to
said
use
that.
the term edupreneurs. That's what they are.
Edupreneurs.
So
I
they're
like
entrepreneurs
that.
in the educational
You can
market.
tell. You can tell when it's an educator.
Yes,
You can tell.
yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. I think it's very cool that's one of the things that you like to do is go visit with the startups, because I'm sure one of the things that you've experienced in talking with some of the air quotes education startups is that it doesn't take very long for you to talk to them and you go, I appreciate what you're trying to do,
Right.
but you've never spent a day in education, other than like when you were 12 in school or whatever. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You can find the right ones and find the wrong ones.
Yeah.
Not that there's that many wrong ones. I believe more and more
No.
companies, especially even the larger ones, CDWG and Best Buy, they've realized that it's not just about selling a product. It's about making sure that we're using the product the correct way.
It's about use too in the classroom.
Yeah.
I mean, for some of the things we even were talking about earlier, if you speak to somebody who's running a camp, it's different than when they're doing with a small group of 5 kids, and it's different in a group of 26-year-olds.
Right.
So you have to put it in perspective of the user and how easy is that going to be, even if you're not teaching. If you're doing a coaching position, you have to figure out, okay, how am I going to use that for me?
Right. Yeah, exactly. That is awesome, man.
So something we like to do here, 45-second elevator pitch. So you get on the elevator, it's your hero, and they say, who are you? Why do I need to know you? What are you about?
The pressure is
Yeah, there's the
on.
spotlight right there.
Again, I'm Debra Jacoby. I work down in Fort Lauderdale at Pinecrest School. I am a computer science and innovation instructional technologist. And what I'm interested in, what I'm doing here today is working with basic circuits for elementary school teachers. So breaking it down, making it easier for people to understand so they can then bring it to their class.